Welcome to another episode of Life and Whiskey. My name is Jordan, and this is episode number, or video number 5 of our Budget Whiskey series. And in this episode, we're going to be looking at the last of our budget bourbons. This is going to be the last video, kind of rounding out the budget liquor, budget whiskey category. And I think after this, we're maybe going to move into taking some of these whiskeys and maybe blending them and maybe making some mixed drinks and stuff. But for that, we got 2 final whiskeys that we're going to look at. The first one is Kessler. Okay, so Kessler, it's an American blended whiskey, and I got it for $7.79. So it's not a bourbon. It's an American blended whiskey, and a lot of people may not be familiar with that type of category. A blended whiskey means that it's mixed with a neutral grain spirit. So something like a vodka. And in this case, the Kessler is 72.5% neutral grain spirit and 27.5% straight whiskey. So it doesn't specify which straight whiskeys. Now, to be a straight whiskey, it has to be aged at least a minimum of 2 years. But each category of or variety of whiskey has a straight whiskey designation, right? So you can get bourbon straight whiskey, rye straight whiskey. And so that designation only lends itself so much credence when you're looking at the way that Kessler uses it. So it says straight whiskey, so it could be a bourbon, could be a rye, could be a corn, could be who knows what the other what the other whiskeys are that they're adding in there. They don't really tell you. So there you have it. It's 72.5% neutral spirit, 27.5% straight whiskey. And the color on it is, it looks normal. I'm pretty sure in the U.S. you're not allowed to add caramel coloring or anything like that to it. So it probably doesn't have anything else in it. But, $7.79. Let's see what we get for that. So it's very alcohol forward, very ethanol-y, which, should probably be expected from something that's mostly like a vodka type neutral spirit. It is 80 proof. So it's pretty thin as far as that goes. So very alcohol forward, and then it has like a corn dust and maybe like some wood notes in it. So it's kind of weird. So every time you kind of start to smell bourbon notes, it automatically gets overwhelmed with the ethanol note. So it kind of gets buried. So it kind of comes and goes in these little waves of like bourbon, but nope, alcohol. Bourbon, yep, no alcohol. It's kind of a little bit different. But with that, you can pull out that corn dust and maybe a little bit of oak and vanilla, but not a whole lot. And just the slightest sweet vanilla at the very end. So the flavor profile kind of matches the nose. You get little hints of flavors, and then it's overwhelmed by ethanol. Then a little bit of flavor, and it's overwhelmed by ethanol. So it's alcohol forward, so that's the first thing that kind of hits me. Then it's smooth. It gets a little bit smooth and round, and kind of syrupy sweet, like a vanilla in there, like a sugary vanilla, syrupy vanilla. That's what I'd definitely call it, syrupy. It's a little bit clingy, has a little bit of oil characteristic to it, kind of spreads across the palate, but it as it goes into the finish, you kind of get that oily bit, but then it just kind of disappears altogether. You get a little bit of burn on the back of your tongue, but really nothing in the throat, so to speak. It's just really simple, for lack of a better term. It tastes like alcohol. Like, this is the reason why I don't like vodka drinks. I drink gin instead because I think it has more flavor. But like, when I used to get a Bloody Mary, and it was made with vodka, I could always, didn't matter what the proportion was, I always tasted Bloody Mary and then vodka, or like a Jack and Coke. I could always taste Jack Daniels and Coke. The flavors never blended and melded together. I'd say this is kind of similar to that, where you get like these whiskey flavors, but then it's just an ethanol flavor as well. Now, I don't mean that to be that it tastes bad. Actually, to the contrary, the sweetness of it kind of makes it fairly enjoyable, but it's not something I would drink neat necessarily. I would say that this is something that's probably better served as a mixer of some sort. And at $7.79, why the heck not? But there you go. There's my take on Kessler. Just make sure I'm not missing anything. I don't think so. That's probably about as good as that one gets. I'm not going to say steer clear of it because it's definitely not a bad drinker. But if you're into the complexities of whiskey, you're probably not going to find it in this. This is more of a, yeah, definitely a mixer. Something that you're going to take and bury it and you're just looking for alcohol and not necessarily flavor. That's kind of my impression of that. So if that offends you, sorry. The last one we're going to look at is one we've done before on video number 2 of the Elk series that I did. It's going to be Evan Williams Black Label. I got it for $10.49. So it is above the $10 mark. This is the second whiskey that I've done that's it started with $10, but it's over $10. So $10.48, almost $10.50. Same as the Scoresby Scotch that I got. That was the other one that was above $10. But you know what? It's close enough that I'm going to throw it in the mix here, especially since I already had the bottle and I didn't have to go out and buy it. Now, the Black Label, interestingly enough, so not in, let's see, the Green Label is the cheaper one, right? So that was in the first budget bourbon video that I did. That was the first bourbon that I reviewed. And it was $7 and some change, and it's a 40% ABV and 80 proof whiskey. The Black Label is 43% or 86 proof. Now both of them share the same mash bill, and from what I could find, some people had talked about them being, you know, maybe different ages. So like the Green Label is like 4 years old, but it also is only a minimum of 4 years old because it's an NAS, a non-age statement whiskey. So in order to do that, you have to have a minimum of 4 years. And so, you know, who really knows what the age of the barrels are going into that? So they could be up to 10 years, 12, who knows how old they're going to be, right? Probably not that old, but minimum of 4 years. Well, this is also a non-age statement whiskey. The rumors that are out there are that it's mainly 5 to 7 year old barrels. On the website it says 4 to 5 year old barrels. So take out of that what you will. But they both labels share the exact same mash bill: 75% corn, 13% rye, 12% barley. It's just that this is bumped up 3% ABV to 43. And really, that's all I get out of this. So basically, you got the exact same notes, best I can tell, in both the nose and the taste, just a little bit higher. So you got a little bit more alcohol, but with that alcohol carries just a little bit more intensity on those flavors. So straight up, once again on the nose, it's a very heavy medicinal cherry for me that goes into a vanilla and a caramel, and then corn dust. So the two main notes for me are corn dust and like this medicinal cherry note, like a Loudon's cough drop kind of a thing. And then on the taste, I get a slight cherry note in the beginning that has a little bit of alcohol with it, and then a very, very heavy corn dust that dominates the flavor profile, blending into a sweet caramel, and then kind of going towards the tail end of the flavor profile. You get an oak forward underlain with a sweet, probably a sweet caramel, I would say, is kind of how I would say it finishes out. Just ever so slight barrel spice in there. You get that little bit of oak, but it's not a whole lot. So between the green and the black, if you're looking for just like a 5% increase in flavor, the intensity of flavors, go with the black label. Also, the black label is the more commonly distributed bottle because you can't get the green label everywhere. And so that might be the one that you find by you. And again, here it was $10.49. So if you can find it for somewhere in that ballpark, you're probably doing pretty good. Again, as always, please leave in the comments below what you can find these whiskeys for in your area. And if you care to give them a try, leave any notes or comments you have about them below, or if you have any other comments for me, please feel free to leave those as well. Let me know where you'd like to see things go. I think we're gonna go with the mixed drinks after this. I think that's gonna be the next video. This is just a quick, short, little sweet video here, finishing out the budget whiskeys that I found. Like I said, I did not get all of the whiskeys that I was able to find for under $10 as I had originally planned, mainly because they largely tended towards the Canadians and I just didn't want to go that route. But if you had any other suggestions, by all means, please go ahead and let me know what other brands you can find under $10 by you that you guys really like. As I've said several times now, JTS Brown's probably one of my favorites in that category. And I know that there's a lot of Kentucky. If you live in Kentucky or have close access to the Kentucky border, good on you, because there are several brands that you can only get in Kentucky. They're cheap, they're good, and there's other brands around as well that do similar things in a very small geographic area. So there's probably more brands available where you people are under $10 than where I'm at. We're an ABC state, so the state liquor board, they control everything, and there has to be enough demand for them to make room in the warehouse in order for them to bring in something from somewhere else. So our distribution options are fairly limited here in Wyoming. Because of that, especially when it comes to the craft distilleries and stuff like that. And so hopefully you guys do not have that issue where you are at. And the second issue we have is Wyoming, somewhere in the 500,000 people population range. So even if everybody in the state wants something, it's still a pretty low number as far as when you're looking at large distribution for a company or a brand. So due to all those hardships, I would say that it's probably better pickings in your area. Now the prices might be different, but yeah, that's what I got to say about budget stuff. Don't be afraid to go out there, check it out, dip your foot into the pool a little bit. You'll probably find something that you like, and you'll probably be able to replace something that's in the $20 or $30 range for under $10 if you give it a go and find, or go exploring to see if you can find something out there that suits your taste. So anyways, thanks for watching as always. Hopefully you guys are staying safe and healthy, and things are going well for you, and you're able to keep your jobs and keep it going. I wish you guys the best. Stay tuned for the next video, and happy whiskey till then.